Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. This is some opening remarks here. This is really the enemy we can't see, but what we are learning is its travel pattern, which is a good thing. As I said 3 weeks ago, we don't make the timeline. The virus actually does, but I think we're on our way to improving for sure. We're receiving facts faster than ever. There's a huge increase in media communications with some good news, some bad news, some political news in nature and things like that. But overall, the first time in history, that we'll probably celebrate Easter apart. This is a serious threat, without doubt. It's changing at a rapid pace. There is an increase in the loss of life spreading around the world. In fact, medical experts are now saying that it may completely rotate around the globe again. According to medical professionals, we just don't quite know. What we do know is they are working on a vaccine. It'll probably be one of the fastest vaccines developed that we've ever done in history, but it could still be quite a substantial ways away, like maybe as much as a year. There is some rays of lights. You'll see in New York, particularly, the death rate it looks like they flattened the curve. But what they are cautioning people is do not all of a sudden forget your social distancing practices, because if we all do that, we could reverse the whole game that we've made in the last several weeks. Wuhan, China, which was the original origin, just lifted their lockdown this week. In fact, just 2 days ago. What was really a little scary there, I guess, was 55,000 people the very next morning were on public transit. So we're not sure what's going on there, but they are experts for sure. The schools are still not open. And I read an article in the paper today that I didn't know was happening, but what they've done is they have a mandatory smartphone application now, powered by a mix of data tracking and government surveillance that shows that the person who's out and about is healthy and they haven't been in recent contact with anyone confirmed to have the virus. So that's a nice reassurance there. Today, we're going to focus on the effect of a post-coronavirus world. I'm going to talk about things that really may come down the road. What we do know for a fact is our world was changing, and we probably never go back to what we were doing before. And that's probably a good change overall. What's interesting is, as you know, I've been in the industry about 40 years. We were teaching disinfection and sanitizing protocol that long ago, and not much has changed. I'm going to revisit that again about pre-cleaning and using the right registered product and ensuring it's diluted correctly and things like that. I mean, there's no real changes in protocol. There's changes in the developments of disinfectants, which were one of the leading edges there at manufacturers. So it's pretty interesting to see what's coming down the pipeline there, and the fact that we're relying on protocol that actually works if we all do it. Really, education, knowledge transfer, learnings are our line of defense, and that's why we continue to do these weekly webinars. And really, it's entirely up to every single one of us, the clean practices that we practice in our house every day. So with that being said, let's get started with today's webinar here. And this is our original series 4 of 4. Today is April 9th, which is hard to believe how fast time is going. Okay, I'm not going to go in anything to do with me anymore, because quite honestly, I think you probably know me by now. Last week, just quickly, we talked about saving lives. That was really our main theme of there. We talked about our deionized water update. We thanked you for thanking us, and honestly, these are a lot of work to put on, and we thank you for your positive comments, because they just lift our spirits a little bit and reinforce the fact that we're doing some things right there. So keep those questions coming, and we've got a whole list of them that you sent in that we'll go through at the end of it. Knowledge transfer, we talked about cleaning and disinfecting and sanitizing. We talked about even sanitizing your drains and your toilets and your urinals and your tubs and things like that. We talked about carpet extraction and disinfecting and sanitizing and doing thorough cleans. And then we had our open mic talk there. And by the way, just to remind you, these webinar information, these presentations are available on our website there. Okay, this week, series 404, we're going to continue this weekly series. Okay, so next Friday, we're going to be back. We encourage you to join us. We're going to have some interesting conversations next week about really cleaning your tools and making sure that you are protected and you lower that risk of an outbreak prevention. So that's one of the things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about that post-coronavirus world. We're going to talk about really how the COVID-19 virus works a little bit there. We're going to talk about personal protection and hand washing. And we got a small little 2-minute video there that's included here that just talks about the typical way people do things and the right way. So, and then of course, we'll have Ask with Williams come back and join us for our open mic. Okay, I did show this slide last week, and I wanted to revisit it because you talk about who's doing what in our industry, what corrective measures are in place. You know what's good is this is our air traffic controllers over North America. A typical day of the week. It doesn't matter what day of the week it is. And what I do know for a fact is 90% of the air travel in general has been suspended. And that alone lowers the risk. So really the government has stepped in and said, listen, we need to do things better. This is one really good way to certainly as an example of what we've done. So we've lowered the risk there, right? As far as a post-coronavirus world, these are some interesting things when we were putting it together. Our world is never going to be the same. You know, we are never going to go back to what we were doing on a regular basis and just sort of a repeating basis all around the world, right? You know, but there's lessons there. You know, corporations and businesses and society will change. Bricks and mortar stores, like all of your retail stores, those that survive will need to adapt new ways to conduct business and deliver goods, right? There's going to be a reduction in the contact of people-to-people transactions. There's no question. There's going to be an increase in IT platforms. I mean, ordering online, touchless transaction, and perhaps even the end of paper money. You know, we've been using less and less of that each passing month and year, but I mean, there's rumors out there that are telling us it may be gone. Improvements in the IT infrastructure to support an increase in digital solutions. You know, working from home, video conferences, less global travel, and I'm the first one to sign up to say if I can be in an airplane less than a year, count me in, because it's safer and it's safer for my family and all of my coworkers and everybody else. You know, I think I've been home for basically a month, very limited access outside. And quite honestly, I can perform every bit as good, probably if not better, because there's fewer distractions at home. So those are things that'll change. There's a pressure of ongoing social distancing. We may never go back to being comfortable the way we interacted with people and neighbors and things. And at the same time, we caution you got to use common sense. As everybody washes their hands and has the proper cleaning protocol and things, you know, I mean, we'll be better off. The education sector, could it be the end of our classrooms? You know, the kids going to school and learning. There's online learning now. There will be online exams and submissions and video conferences. This is a perfect example, right? Generally, what would happen is I would fly to a banquet hall or a conference center in the world, and there'd be 500 people in the room, and I mean, and we're all there. So this is a way here that we can talk to thousands of people safely. You know, global health monitoring. I mean, we've obviously learned that a fast response is critical to lowering our risk. Imagine this, early warning systems like GPS data that monitors our symptoms. I read that article from the paper as of today, what Wuhan in China is doing there about monitoring the travel of their people there, you know. So I mean, imagine if that could say, listen, you've got an issue, you've got a rise in temperature, whatever it may be, so we could treat that quickly and stop the disease. GPS data, again, in the food and farming and quality control. Early warning of the health of livestock, for instance. Crop disease sensors. GPS-controlled equipment that tracks where the equipment has been and if it's applied the right pesticide or insecticide or fertilizer or whatever it may be to increase the planting yield. Right? You know, so these are all good things. You know, robotics. Floor scrubbers have been coming in to introduced to our sanitation industry for probably the last year and a half or 2 years. You know, what's next from there? I mean, drones delivering food, robots delivering merchandise, groceries, I mean, autonomous vehicles that are out there. These are all things that are all underway. Touchless digital interaction, right? There was always some resistance about touching objects. that people are always uncomfortable touching faucets or a soap dispenser or a toilet flusher or a hand dryer. I mean, now you're seeing that even ATMs and the flat screens and things like that. I mean, you're going to see some changes there, right? There's going to be even more resistance for the general public of touching anything in a public building. There'll be an increase in facial recognition, right? I have a Nexus card cleared for North America. They 2 months ago through Toronto International Airport designed a facial recognition system that I walk through. It scans my face and away I go. Right? You know, I don't have to touch anything, and that's a good thing. Online shopping, I'm sure every single one of us every day are more comfortable because we have more time to do that now, and we're getting comfortable with that process. And there'll be market growth that's tremendous there. The rise in esports. I mean, you're seeing the world of football and baseball and basketball and soccer and car racing and all of those things, junior hockey, children's hockey. It doesn't matter what it is. I mean, those mass gatherings right now are all locked out, right? You know, NASCAR, which is the automotive platform. I mean, they're actually, all of the drivers are at home and they're set up with remote, car steering wheels and screens and things, and they're actually racing right now. And I've watched a couple of the sessions and it's pretty real. So you're going to see that rise. Telemedicine. I have a once a year physical, not to get into anything there too personal, but I have a once a year health physical. The last checkup I had was done exactly like this. I talked to the doctor, and he went over all of the things there. I got a clear bill of health, by the way, for those wondering. But I mean, I didn't have to go to the doctor. I didn't have to drive a half an hour. I wasn't subjected to being around people that were ill and runny noses and coughs and sneezes. So that's a good thing. And then here's one here that my personal doctor 35 years or 40 years ago told me that this was going to happen. Now, it hasn't happened yet, but it's probably not far away. If you're not feeling well, you're going to enter your symptoms in some sort of app. You're going to answer some questions and things, and your prescription automatically comes out, and probably even machinery with the actual drugs themselves or the medication. You know, what I do want to say is we are not going back to the same way. We should not go back to the same way. And every one of these items really lower the risk. Okay. So the American Cleaning Institute, ACI, this is a survey from March 26, which was only really a couple of weeks ago. They surveyed thousands of respondents there, and they asked them how they primarily use disinfectants in their homes. You know, and imagine this is their homes. Imagine the impact on the workplace. So what they said is that 26 of the people said that they spray and wipe the surface immediately after. So that is using our disinfectant, spray it down, instantly wipe, 26%. Okay, that's incorrect, right? 16% say that they do a quick pass with a disinfectant wipe. Maybe afterwards or on its own. That's failing. That's not the way you do it, right? 26% are keeping the surface wet with disinfectant wipes for as long as recommended. If you have a not a good quality wet wipe, it's not a lot of moisture and disinfectant properties in there, how actually long can you keep that surface moist? And how many cloths and wipes do you actually have to use to do that, right? 16% spray and leave it to air dry no matter how long it takes. That's a wrong way, right? And I've said this before, and I want to say it again, because if you remember this, the virus travels both ways. It leaves, if it's with you, it comes from home into the work, and it also comes from work back to home. So let's revisit that protocol. Okay, so here's the protocol. You want to select, and this is one of our most popular questions we get week after week, by the way. You want to select a DIN or an EPA registered product that matches the detergency and the microbial efficacy of your facility. Okay, we can help you with that. You want to make sure you read and follow the label instructions. We want to make sure you dilute it 100% accurately, and more is not better. If it calls for 1 ounce or 20 milliliters, no more. No, you do not increase it, because in fact you'll have a negative outcome there. You want to pre-clean those surfaces. That seems to be the biggest stumbling block for people. There's no such thing as a one-step wonderful product that does all like TV. You have to follow the label instructions. Use it as directed. Ensure you've got the right dwell time, whatever the label says, it doesn't matter. And they're all variable, by the way. You want to rinse with potable water if you have food contact surfaces and toys and things like that. And if you use disinfectant wipes, which are good, by the way, do not flush them down the toilets. That's really causing severe sewage backup problems in a lot of cities across the world. And that's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And you're flushing that down the drain systems and where they're probably sometimes not even treated. So that's a bad thing. Revisit our YouTube video. That's on there about our ES15. Last week, I talked about about our infection prevention program. Right. This here is something that a lot of you have downloaded this week. It is full of critical information that helps you with these things, saving lives, reducing sick time. The workforce will feel better, prevent negative, all of these things, increased productivity, budgetary savings. And really, it's one of the questions that came in is if I follow this, break the chain, will I win? And you know what? Yes, you will. So it's there, and we'll revisit that later in some of our questions that we have. How the COVID virus works. And there's questions here. We're not the medical experts. I'm the first one to say that for sure. We've got all kinds of expertise and degrees and certificates and things like that, and we can go over that some other time. But really, I mean, there's a question: is it a living organism? Is it not? It's really both. It's really inert, right? I've got a picture of it here. This does not look like a friendly thing that's going to be your friend here. It's covered by a protective layer of fat, and then when it's absorbed by the cells, it changes the genetic code, right? And it multiplies from there. And since it's not a living organism but a protein molecule, it really can't be killed, right? So, and there's some fine lines there, and medical experts really talk about there. But what we do know is when that protective layer is penetrated, it decays and it dies on its own. It disintegrates is what it does. Temperature, humidity, the type of surface that it's on all really have a play in it there. But it's very fragile. We've been talking about that. And if we can simply get ourselves to wash our hands and social distance and use disinfectants and cleaners in the right way, we'll be in good shape, right? By dissolving that fat layer, the protein molecule collapses, reducing the risk. So how it works as well, heat melts fat. Right, and you can produce more foam with warmer water, with warmer detergent in your washing machine and things like that, because that actually, and even in your dishes, if you're doing your detergent in your sinks, it'll lower the risk. So warmer water, right? Those virus molecules remain very stable in external cold or artificially induced chilled areas like an air conditioning unit. There are filters in your air conditioning units, whether it's in commercial buildings or residents. What I'd suggest is maybe take a look at those and maybe remove the filter and clean it. Right, that air is coming in the house and going outside again there. So let's do what we can do there. It also, it needs moisture to stay stable. It likes the dark, right? Therefore, dehumidified air and warm air along with bright environments will degrade it more rapidly. These are all questions that I ask medical experts, and some say it does, and some say it doesn't. But really, well, what we do know is the basics there, and I've really summarized in a way there that I think is pretty easy to understand. Here's what we do know. The virus enters the body through the mouth, the nose, and the eyes, okay? It occupies your cells, then it replicates or multiplies, and then it occupies more cells. And it's a parasite, and thus it needs a living cell in order to replicate, okay? It's a respiratory virus. It actually affects your lungs, right? And it interferes with your lungs with the exchanges of oxygen and carbon dioxide, causing the patient difficulty breathing. Therefore, that's why you need a ventilator. And a ventilator is quite honestly your last source of resource there. So really, there's a ton of information on the internet about these things. We encourage you to read up and become knowledgeable there. Okay, saving lives. We talked about this a little bit last week. I've continued to witness buildings of people really, quite honestly, not doing their part. And you got to remember, any caretaker or custodian or janitor is a transporter of germs. Anybody in the workforce is a transporter of germs because we walk through the buildings. We touch almost everything, right? So it's critical we wash our hands. My little sign here I showed last week as well. This is one when we're in audiences, this gets the most oohs and ahs and the gross comments there. But I mean, you can see here, there's a lot of things that you can contract on your hands, and it's just proper to wash them. Okay. So visual transfer points. If you can see this well, this is a common sneeze. And this is probably 50% of people in the world don't cover their mouth when they sneeze. These could be viruses and bacteria of any sort, going as a projectile through the air. These droplets can actually go more than 6 feet as a general rule. So when we say social distancing, this is a good visual reason why you should do that. The next one is about Kleenex, a facial tissue, wiping, covering your nose. I mean, this is a droplet-based virus that we're faced with. Cover, if you don't have facial tissue, cover it with your sleeve, like this, cough into your elbow, your clothing, whatever, and then wash it accordingly. You've got to stop the droplets. Okay, your skin, I want to talk about that for a couple of minutes. You can see this individual here with the end of their thumb. They've got some severe cracks. Viruses and bacteria find housing. That's where they'll use your body as a host to get into your skin around, blood and skin and all kinds of your genetic makeup there, and they make a home. Right. And then they multiply. Right. So one thing that I can tell you there is now's the time to use a good quality soap without question, and also use a good quality moisturizer. The moisturizer will actually encourage these things to heal. They'll go smaller, and you've got that much less of a risk. So obviously a good quality moisturizer is good for your skin in all areas. Now we're going to put a YouTube video on here about washing your hands, and it's only 2 minutes long, so I'll be quiet for 2 minutes, and we'll put this video on, and it's about really... Hi, Jim Fleeler, Charlotte. With the coronavirus going on, we're going to continue our videos and our webinars trying to teach people to live cleaner, safer lives and lower the risk of infection. Today's topic is hand washing, and it's paramount that we actually need to wash our hands properly. So let's just go to the sink now, and we'll show you a typical way that a person actually washes their hands. Now, Veronica here has just ate lunch, so she's just cleaning up her hands after. And this is typically the way it happens if people actually even wash their hands, because there's still a large percentage of people that do not do that. You notice she washed her hands, she touched her hand, she actually touched the faucet, dried her hands, and away she go. That is not the proper way, particularly when there is a risk of a pandemic and infection across the world. So Veronica, if you wouldn't mind showing us the proper way to wash your hands now. Notice she's turned this tap on and it's warm water. She's taken 3 pumps of soap. More soap today is better, because look at the lather she's building up there. That's actually doing the cleaning of her hands. She's doing in between her fingers. She's doing her palms, the tops of her hands, even up to her wrist areas. So she's really doing a thorough job of doing that. The time frame involved is about 20 seconds. That's really what you want to aim for. But you can see there around her cuticles, fingertips, and things, she's doing a real good job of washing her hands, rinsing away any risk of bacteria or viruses from there, and transferring them to other points when we come along next, and away we go. So you'll see she reaches for the paper towels, okay? She turns the tap off. She takes that towel, disposes of it, and then she reaches for another couple of towels, dries her hands, and away she goes. That is exactly the proper way to do your hands and wash them every time. And just remember this tip: before and after you go out, when you arrive back home, before and after you prepare food, before and after you eat, and we wish you a safe, healthy environment, and if everybody does this, we'll be in a lot better shape. Thank you. So I believe I'm back now, and I can go to the next screen there, and I think I'm back. I'm pretty sure I'm back there, as a matter of fact. So you can see Ask with Williams has joined us. I'm not sure where he was, but he was joined us again. He's even smiling this week, so it's good to see him in here. So welcome, and he'll be along with our questions here shortly, as soon as we get the next slide up here. So I want to really just talk about a couple of our hand soap offerings here. We have our ES48, which is like an Ecologo certified product, in a foaming cartridge in a dispenser there. You can see it on the left. What we do have, though, is our ES49, which is a foaming hand soap. So this will produce a massive amount of foam in a bulk fill dispenser. And then the ES50 is our #1 selling deodorant lotion soap as well, for good lather and good hand protection. So I would be remiss if I didn't actually advertise that to you, because it's difficult to get soaps these days, and we're manufacturing them all the time. The other thing here is the supply chain update. I want to update you on there. We continue to communicate our raw materials and packaging supply to all of our distributors across the world. We have our new DI water system in place that we talked about a week or so ago, which has actually doubled and tripled our capacity of DI water, which we use in all our disinfectants and things. Our core packaging and adhesives are in good shape. Our bottles and our caps are. Labels, we've actually expanded our supply base there as well. Our quats, our surfactants, our polymers continue to monitor. We continue to monitor all of those inventory levels. As a matter of fact, now it's amazing, because we've got more requests and orders in for floor finish now and water-based wood floor coatings now, because it's that time of year and they've actually done their deep cleanup, some facilities, and they're moving on to they're refinishing the floors now. Our trigger sprayers, that's where some concern is. They're okay today, I can tell you, but we need to, make sure that there will be a shortage of those. We introduced a packaging update this week. That basically, we changed the production of our ES15, our 946 ml bottle. We used to have 6 trigger heads attached to each one of the bottles in the case. Well, we know there's going to be a shortage. We've been telling people to use the refillable gallons and pails and even drums to refill them, to keep those bottles and triggers. It's a more sustainable and more cost-effective thing to do. So what we've done is we've actually, to make even the product faster, we've taken the trigger sprayers. We're putting 3 of them in the case, loose leaf, and we're putting a foil induction seal and a regular threaded cap on our bottle. So you will see that change. Some people aren't excited about that change, but you know what? It's the right thing to do. What it'll allow us to do is really supply you with that particular product and other of our customers' products that are in trigger heads, probably twice as long. So that's just a responsible thing to do that we've done. Order the gallons, order the pails, order the drums. We've put a lot of those new SKUs on, so ask your specialist for what we do have there. That improves the chance for you to get product faster. In some cases, to certainly secure inventory. Use our pump-up sprayers that we've been advertising. That'll go a long ways for you as well. You'll actually probably apply a little bit more disinfectant, the right disinfectant on the surface, and ensure that you've got that dwell time that you meet there as well, so it's more sustainable. So far, we're in good shape as far as that goes, and we'll keep you up to speed. Additional resources, we always put these on there. There's no limit to them. As a matter of fact, not just these ones, but we encourage you to browse the website. We've just changed our charlotteproducts.com website. We put more emphasis on coronavirus. All of our presentations are there. Our ES15 is there. Our YouTube videos are there. Our e-learning academy is there. So we encourage you to certainly utilize that information there. So really, a summary before we get to the questions. We hope you found this helpful. This is our 5th one in a row. This first one we've done on Thursday, because obviously Good Friday is tomorrow. Next week we go back to our Friday time slot at 1 o'clock, and we encourage you to join us. Please join us. We're thrilled to be able to give you the information that helps keep yourself cleaner and safer and a better overall world. So we're going to continue to announce good topics there. Send this to your neighbors, send this to your workforce, send this to your customers, no matter who you are there. And our goal is to really help you make the right decisions and keep you safe, So now what we'll do is we'll bring Asquith Williams into the picture here. And what we have done is we can't respond to all the questions. There's just so many questions that we can't respond to. And we do during the week, as a matter of fact, or on this particular broadcast. But what we've done is we've taken a tally of those, we've recorded them, and so I've got them in front of me, the most popular ones for the week. So I'm just, this week I get to ask with the questions, instead of him asking me. So we're going to put him right on the spot. So Asquith, are you ready?
I'm ready, Jerry.
You don't even have any notes.
I'm happy to be in Jimmy's corner.
Look at this. See, Asquith is for the first time. He doesn't have any notes. He's so confident with the questions or the answers, right? So, and he doesn't even know what I'm going to ask him. So that's even better. So we could have some fun here. So really, these are popular questions. It looks, it really appears by these questions that there's a deeper concern for accurate information and assistance to lower the risk, to help you. So and it doesn't matter what type of facility. So I'll just go in order here. Is it accurate to say that the coronavirus uses the human lungs as a host and a food source of some type to grow and multiply? And how can I stop this from affecting my family? That's a great question.
Well, I think it's a fantastic question. I think number one, we got to remember that the virus does not drive, it does not fly. It needs us to transport it. So that's number one.
Okay.
We need to prevent it from entering all those spots you spoke about earlier, your mouth, your nostrils, your eyes, etc. And so transferring things from your hands to your face is a no-no. So you must wash your hands regularly, absolutely, as much as possible. Get all your touch points nice and clean, and we'll be much better. And of course, social distancing.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. Well, I'm going to back up. I think I'm only 6 feet away. I think I'm going to move about 8 feet away.
And that's good. 8 feet is good.
Okay.
It's good. It's better than 6.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Well, you know what? We talked about incidental contacts a couple of weeks ago.
Absolutely.
And an average person, is it fair to say that they touch their face about 50 times an hour?
Well, maybe not as much, but somewhere in that neighborhood.
If you got an itch, you got an itch.
I said mostly they did a scientific survey, and I think it was closer to 23 times.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, it was the
For the
floor
average,
contacts, the floor coming from
absolutely.
the floor up there. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, that's good advice here. Here's another one. I heard that viruses cannot spread unless people, I think you've probably answered this. I hear that viruses cannot spread unless people help them, and people can stop or lower the spread by simply washing their hands and practicing social distancing. I think you sort of answered half of that.
Yeah, I sort of preempted you on that one there, Jimmy.
Good.
Yeah.
Jeez,
So, that's absolutely true. We need social distancing.
Yeah.
We need to wash our hands regularly. And I think most of our problems will be gone.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I've been hearing, I can tell you. Here's another one. Will Health Canada ever catch up with approving manufacturers' long-standing disinfectants that they've made to ensure that what they've been using is effective today? Where's your thoughts there?
I think they would eventually get in touch with everybody. And, really, no one has tested this, SARS-CoV-2 virus. So we're doing things like, okay, if you could kill this, you will kill that. And that's basically what it is by extension. And so I think, they're adding things on to the list. I mean, we just got word just before I came here that 256 and quarter 48 will probably be on the list by Monday.
Oh, really?
So,
well, that's good. So they're obviously working as fast
as they possibly can.
And they're under duress and stress. And I mean, there's not any different than any one of us in a day. I mean, our lives are changing there. So
absolutely.
That's good to hear. So basically, that sounds good. So what you're saying there is they're going to catch up. Believe me, what we've got is effective. You cannot have COVID-19 on the label because nobody's tested it.
No one's tested
that. So it's deemed effective,
not yet.
Right? Yeah, but it's underway. I can bet there.
It's always by extension.
Yeah, thanks for that clarity there. Are we to expect, another question here, are we to expect more types of bacteria and viruses to emerge in the future? Could they become more of a health risk due to our population expanding dramatically? So I guess the global population expanding.
Well, I think if you are a betting person, you'll say yes, there'll be more pandemics.
Yeah,
absolutely. But we just got to basically use what we learned today, keep it clean.
Yeah,
the custodians got to be raised to a higher standard.
Yeah, they do. Well, I think the custodian.
I mean, the training as well as the society has to keep these people at a higher standard, really. Because it's very, very important. People are realizing how important it is and what a great job these guys do every day, day in, day out, how important that job is.
Yeah, it's a matter of life and death.
Absolutely.
Is really what it is.
Absolutely.
And I've been teaching in the industry for 40 years, and we've never put as much emphasis as we should on the tasks that the caretakers and janitors and custodians do.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're at risk. They're a first line of defense for us. We need to appreciate what they do. And the same goes with our medical institutions. And all of of those responders and everything else. I mean,
Absolutely.
the militaries, all, I mean, it's just, we just don't do it enough, you know.
Absolutely.
And I would encourage everybody watching today to just say thank you. You know what? You can't put a price on the simple word thank you, and it goes a long ways to make somebody's day there. So, because I mean, you know what? I wouldn't want to personally be in an ER room today, you know, myself there, but that's good. Is another question, is the coronavirus alive or dead? And could it be said that it's a parasite of some sort? I sort of talked about that earlier, but maybe you had a couple of a bit of insight on that.
Well, it's not really alive or dead. I mean, there's a theory on that.
How can it not be alive or dead?
It's just,
I mean, I hope I'm alive. Are you alive or?
Yeah, but you know, ideally it's a parasite. It needs a host in order to replicate. So it's if it doesn't have a host, it cannot replicate. So again, that's the whole point of washing your hands, because you become the host.
Yeah. So your lungs are and it lugs.
Yes.
It likes to live in lungs, right?
This particular virus is a respiratory virus, so it loves the lungs.
Yeah.
There are other viruses that like other parts of the body.
Yeah.
But this one in particular,
yes,
that's what makes it so deadly.
I've heard some things about it can actually drown a person or have the replicate sort of a drowning. Is that fair to say?
Yes, because you know, if you had to look at the lungs, and let's transpose that to a tree, then we can put the tree upside down.
Okay.
What happens, you know, you've got your trachea, and then it branches out into your little fine nodules, if you will, called the alveoli. And so that's where the exchange goes on between the blood, oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood. Okay. And what happens, the virus gets there, you get inflammation forming, you get the alveoli, or the little grape-like.
Yeah, it looks like a grape.
Yeah. Or let's expand it and say call it a balloon with a membrane.
Yeah.
And then that begins to fill with water.
Oh.
Or fluids, bodily fluids. And so you can see how difficult it is to exchange gases, whether it's oxygen or carbon dioxide. So that's become a problem.
Okay. And a ventilator is really last resort, right?
Yes.
And the chances of that is sometimes it can be too late when it comes to that.
Yes. So
it's a shame.
If you can prevent it from getting that far.
Why wouldn't we wash our hands?
Social distancing. Washing your hands.
You've creeped over about 6 inches, by the way. There.
You think so?
You know,
okay,
I'll
push back.
I feel a little nervous about your space there. Here's another one here. Do you recommend spraying or wiping disinfectants with a cloth?
Well, either way will work.
Yeah.
The key thing, though, when you do use disinfectants, follow the instructions on the label. Dwell time, dwell time, dwell time.
Okay. Yeah. And I've said that, I mean, for 5 weeks now. Here's one I know that in my local grocery store, I've saw a spelling mistake here for somebody, but I have saw laundry detergents that have antibacterial or antimicrobial statements on the packaging. Do I need to switch from what I've been using to make sure my family's safe? An antibacterial laundry detergent, Oscar?
It's not necessary.
Is that like marketing greenwashing or something?
I think so.
I mean,
it's not necessary. You know, the washing cycle in itself pushes away any organic matter and viruses with it and bacteria with it. The climate is not good as well, because the water is generally hot.
Oh yeah. And
then you take those clothes and you put it in a dryer. The dryer is somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 degrees, 140 degrees Celsius. I mean, Fahrenheit. So what happens is that, you know, the stuff dries and viruses can't live in that hot
there's
condition.
Even steam units, right? I mean, nothing, nothing survives.
And the virus itself doesn't live that long on porous surfaces.
Yeah, okay. That's good. Well, so hopefully that answers that person's question there. I don't know when your genes would come down with food poisoning, but so what you're saying is rest assured, if you follow use the right quality laundry detergent and the right machine, you're good there. Yes. Okay, so that's good. Here's one there that sort of takes off your infection prevention document. We downloaded it last week for those to use. And there's a chart there that talks about chain of infection, which is true. And I actually happen to have the chart here, and that's the chain. And this person is asking, so if I follow this, will it indeed help? You know, and things that are on here are really like staying at home and washing your hands and disinfecting and sanitizing properly, following the right protocol, using tissues when I sneeze or cough, using Band-Aids to cover my scrapes and cuts, and hand washing. The answer there is absolutely. If you follow this.
Absolutely.
I mean, you know what? This has been a document we've had for several years, and it's funny how relevant it is today. One other one here. I've just heard about a new CBC list that is apparently very credible for recommending disinfectants to use. Should I refer to this list, and where can I get a copy?
Well, you get a copy online, number one. The
Okay.
CBC is basically for, it means not the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation.
Yeah, that's what most people would think.
No, but it's the Center for Biocide Chemistry.
Yes.
And so basically what they've done is help people by doing a compilation basically of previously approved EPA disinfectants and put them on that list.
So a peace of mind list that if you're using
list.
that product and it's on the list, that's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing.
So you want to aim to be on that. Do we at Charlotte have anything on that CBC list?
Yes, we've got many products on that list.
Yeah, that's good to know.
And
So
you can go online on the Charlotte line and use
yeah, and it's there, or go to CBC there, not the TV station, by the way, or the
CBC.
corporation, but definitely
Yes.
there. Okay, a couple more questions, because I know our time frame here. We had our time frame. It's we're up to 40 minutes, and we'll probably be about 4 more minutes there, and we'll wrap it up. And thank you for your time. Can you please discuss the proper way to use a disinfectant? My coworkers do not believe me when I told them what we had to do. I've answered that question earlier in the screen there,
Okay.
and believe me, it's time for all the coworkers to work together and really develop that cleaning protocol and follow it, practice it, learn from each other and things there. So.
Absolutely.
So that's there. I just took you off the
You
hot
just
seat for that one.
took me off the hook there.
Yeah, for sure. Once the threat of coronavirus is over, hopefully soon, should I continue to clean as thorough, or can I really go back to what I'm doing? I don't even think that's a.
Hell no, don't go backwards. Let's keep going forward.
Yeah. But
The
you know
same
what?
process.
We love these questions because
Yes.
people, if we can give them clarity, that helps us all.
Mhm.
In a future session, can you offer tips for using our everyday cleaning tools in a safe way to help protect us more? Absolutely. We'll do that next week.
Absolutely.
I'll
Sounds
add a
good.
portion in there about that. How much should I use my hand sanitizer, when and where, and can I water it down to make more?
No, do not water it down to make more.
Okay.
The active ingredients are there for purpose.
Yes.
Use as is. Absolutely.
Yeah,
100%.
That would be sort of a Dr. Doolittle type thing. And,
Don't do that.
Certainly illegal, probably too. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it doesn't
Absolutely.
conform with the registration. So yeah, but solid question for sure.
Yep.
Is it safe to say that if I clean more surrounding surfaces with a good cleaner, I can lower my risk of illness due to the shortages of disinfectants across the planet?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. A solution of soap and water, or one of our detergents and water, and a rag is perfect.
Yeah, that's good. Well, there's some good ones there, and I'll take a couple from here. That we've got, and really, it's, I guess we've got one here. Is it safe to say that if you clean more? Or no, sorry, I've already read that one. Here's one here that. Is it safe to say that if I clean more? No, I've said it. And is there any advice you can offer for our employees in our lunchrooms to be washing their dishes? Can the coronavirus grow in a fridge or microwave?
The coronavirus could grow in a refrigerator.
In a refrigerator?
Yes. Studies have shown that coronavirus can last up to a month in a refrigerator.
Really?
So it's cold temperatures is a nice spot for it. So you want to make sure that you clean things really, really well, and tucking them away in the refrigerator doesn't help.
Yeah.
So I would assume that people would wash things nicely with soap and water, or a sanitizer of some sort. Wipe them down, and then before you put them in the refrigerator.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
with food, maybe we'll talk about food safety too
We
coming
can do
up,
that.
because we have a ready-to-use sanitizer that gives everybody
Mhm.
peace of mind of
Peace
that.
of mind.
And you should do it, because there's pesticides and insecticides and bugs and bird droppings and all those things on your fruit and vegetables, and you're probably
Absolutely.
Now, what about a microwave? That'll be our last question.
Well,
Can I grow in a microwave, or do we eliminate?
Well, microwave, things get really, really hot in the microwave.
Yeah.
So, steam, the microwave operates on water, moisture in
Yeah.
goods. So the steam in the microwave would kill anything within the microwave. Yes.
Good. That's good. Okay. Well, we're out of time here for today. Thank you very much, Asquith. I mean, it's always
Thanks for having
great
me there, Jimmy.
to have you here for these questions, and I just love the opportunity to answer your questions out there. I mean, keep sending them in. Like I say, we can't possibly get to them all at the time, but we just take notes from the week that come in, and thank you for thanking us. I mean, it means the world to us being able to spend this time and teach you cleaner, safer spaces. And that's really what it's all about. So everybody have a good Easter event, apart. The Easter Bunny apparently is still coming, but at a social distance, apparently. I'm not quite sure. I haven't seen the Easter Bunny myself in years, but anyway, thank you very much. We sincerely enjoy you joining us. And until next week, be safe. Thank you.
Okay.